So please give me a super energetic, warm welcome to Jordan Carroll!
All right, everybody. I know it's Thursday morning. I know some people are feeling a little down. Maybe they went to a rave. So get up for a second. Let's shake it out a little bit. Who's got their best dance moves? We got a speaker. We got some people back here who are not coming out and throwing chocolate yet. Here we go. And for those who are a little bit more health conscious, who's health conscious out here? Banana for you. Who's healthy? Where are all my healthy friends at? Banana. Don't get hurt. Only raise your hands if you can catch, please. We got a banana back there. Hey, apples. We got an apple guy right there. Apple guy. Another apple guy. Who wants it? I might be able to reach you. If you can catch. Look at that. All right, we got another one. Who wants it? There you go. That's a good one right there. You're gonna eat that one. That's a lime. All right. Who wants this one? There we go. Some ginger. Make some tea with that one, and some garlic for you, sir, in the front. All right. Round of applause for these ladies for sitting back there. Now you know why we wanted you to sit a little bit closer. My name is Jordan Carroll, and all that was a ploy to get your attention. And now that I've got your attention, let's talk about how to find a remote job. And specifically, how to find a remote job without applying. Okay? My goal with this talk is to give you 3 things that you can walk away with today, immediately, that you can do to get hired remotely. I did spell remotely wrong, so if you caught that, that was your first test. Now, who am I? Jordan Carroll, up here talking to you. I'm also known as the remote job coach, a term that I coined for myself. I have been remote since 2013, and so I've been in the game for quite a bit of time. I've been working and living in 15 plus countries on 5 continents, which to a lot of people here, that's not a lot. I do a little bit more slow travel, usually a month to about a year and a half in any given location. And remote work saved my life. I don't say that lightly. I've had some pretty depressing moments, substance abuse, dealt with a lot of issues personally that I think remote work became the vehicle to get out of those things, to find autonomy in my day, to find an ability to change my environment. And so I don't teach these things to make people feel like they need to be like me. I want people to be more like themselves. And remote work is that vehicle that can allow you to do that. Remote work is the vehicle that can allow refugees, for instance, to find dignified remote work. There are a lot of reasons why remote work is amazing. I don't have to preach that to you all. Thousands of people, as was said in my intro, have used my methodologies, whether through my YouTube channel, watching content to get their first interview, to find someone at a company that they really want to work at, and finally getting a response on LinkedIn after being shut out for years. So what I'm going to say today are things that have been battle tested with my clients, whether through my coaching programs, my courses, or content that I've created. And yes, this is actually me. There's a picture of me. A lot of people don't believe that. People are like, Jordan, how do you not apply to a job and get a job? Is anybody here not applying and getting jobs? But yet, most job seekers, what they do when they say, I need to go look for a job, and by the way, they usually wait until they need a job, will start scanning through job boards and start applying. Who's ever hit the easy apply button on LinkedIn? Who's had immediate regret after doing that 300 times and not receiving any responses? Yeah, theme. Right? So applying to more jobs, there's no correlation to the actual success. And I would argue that these 3 things actually will give you a correlation to success. Having a strategy, using personal branding, and networking. These are 3 core components of a true job search that will help you succeed and win in the landscape that it is today. Job searching is very different from the boomer age when you could just grab a resume and walk into a career fair and just hand it to somebody, give them a firm handshake, and oh, you got a job, right? Things are very different now. So I'm going to go through each one of these one by one. I'm going to talk about the issues that I see within what remote job seekers do, the mistakes that they make. I'll talk about the solutions, and then I'll give you an example and a resource so you can walk away today and feel much more empowered in your job search for yourself, for someone else, or just to have that knowledge. Who here is searching for a remote job right now? Who here feels like they may search for a remote job in the future? Okay. Awesome. Okay, a little crowd work. Let's do this. No. So, who here is, on behalf of somebody else, searching for a remote job and wants to learn information for them? Who here loves my hair and is here for that reason only? Yeah. Wow, that was a lot more than I expected. I had like an opposite joke for that. I thought that was very good. Okay, this is me all the way on the left. Anybody familiar with the company Remote Year? Okay, so quite a few people. Remote Year is an organization that coordinates travel itineraries for people that work remotely. It's digital nomadism turnkey. You pay Remote Year a fee each month, and you go to a different country each month, and they coordinate all the logistics, accommodations, travel, all those things. When I heard about Remote Year, I was like, I gotta fucking work at this company. This company is awesome. They're letting people live the dream. I got on a sales call. The guy was in Porto Escondido. He had a surfboard behind him. I'm like, this is your job, dude? I want your job. So what did I do? I went on Remote Year, became a client. I did the first 4-month program that they ever offered with this young gentleman, Lucas, right here, who is my friend to this day, is here at Bansko. Let's give a hand to Lucas. Also the DJ of the music and brought the speaker, so we wouldn't have had that much fun if he wasn't here. And so when I went on the actual program on Remote Year, I looked around and I said, here's the employees that are traveling with us, here are all the people that are within the community, and now I'm part of the ecosystem. Who else would be better to sell Remote Year than me, a person who's been on the program? I started making my intentions known to all the employees I met. I became very involved in the community, doing presentations like this. And by the end of those 4 months, I had a job at Remote Year. And that's just one example of how you can use these 3 things: strategy, branding, networking. I used elements of all 3 of these things that I'm gonna talk about today in my own story. So I've done this myself, and that was only one of the remote jobs I've had. I've worked for multiple different companies remotely, and now I have my own businesses that are remote. Let's first talk about strategy. Does this sound good? Anybody excited for this? Is this interesting? Okay, cool. Let's talk about strategy, specifically mistakes that I'm seeing a lot. The first thing is failure. A mindset of failure. Who's ever thought that they're gonna fail at something? Did you fail? Yeah. Fuck yeah, you did. If you think you're gonna fail at something. And what I see is there's a lot of discouragement in the job seeking process because there's so many rejections. So people are going along and they're looking at these jobs. I'm not quite, I can't do it. It's not gonna work. And if you have that mindset, of course, that's what's gonna happen. So that's mistake number 1. Mistake number 2 is not having any idea what you're gonna do. If you're gonna be able to do any remote job, you're gonna do no remote jobs. I talk to people who come to me and they say, Jordan, do you have any remote jobs available? Yeah, what do you mean? Like all of them? So if you don't have clarity within what exactly you're looking for, then you're gonna have an issue. Anybody ever seen Alice in Wonderland? You know, when the Cheshire Cat's at the top, like, which way do you want to go? It's like, I don't know. What do you think? Well, whichever way you go, it doesn't matter. I butchered that quote. I should have put it on the slide. The third one here, jobs. People just looking at jobs all day and just hitting the apply button. Huge mistake. Because if you're only using that one method, that one job search activity, you're missing out on a lot of other things, which we've talked about. And the last one here is looking like everybody else. For some reason, job seekers want to look like all other job seekers. So you're going to get the same results as all other job seekers. Rejection. Most people get rejected. There's usually one person that gets the job, right? So if you're acting like everybody else, you're going to get the same results as everybody else. What are the solutions? Well, mindset of success. Belief that you can actually do it. Who's ever believed that they could actually do anything? How did that work out for you? Yeah, right? It's much better to actually think, oh man, I can succeed at this, I can do this, but you have to really internalize that, right? It can't just be surface level. It has to be backed with some internalization that you're worthy. And a lot of people skip this step because they just want to go straight to the tactics. Like, no, I want to find a remote job. Just give me the listing. Just introduce me to the person. But if I introduce a person who has a mindset of failure to the perfect job opportunity and they go and interview, they're still going to fail. So don't skip this step. Mindset is the most important thing you can have in anything in your life, not just job searching, but anything. Have an idea of what you want and be very clear in articulating that idea. Instead of starting with the job board and saying, job board gods, please have something for me today, start with your ideal lifestyle. Write out your ideal day, your ideal week, and your ideal life. What does that look like? If you start with that, you can then branch out and find other things, right? Someone who is a Hungarian who wants to live in Lisbon, Portugal, is going to have a very different job search strategy than someone who lives in the Midwest of the United States and wants to be home with their dog and has no desire to travel. Can we agree that those are going to be 2 different search strategies? But people don't think of it like that. They just go to the job board and they're like, let me just see what's here. Start with the ideal lifestyle and then move on to understanding what your experience and the things that you've done would lead to a certain job role. What job role can you specifically do? Try to pick one. One thing. Companies don't want someone who can do shitty at a lot of things. They want someone who can do specifically one thing. So figure out what that is for yourself and clearly define that and articulate that in everything you do. The third part here is figure out what type of company you want to work for. Is it a fully distributed company that's 50 people, or is it 5,000 people, or is it 100,000 people? How is it that they hire? What's their culture like? If you don't define those things and you just go straight to the job boards, you're going to have issues. I've had clients who've come to me and they're in a third round interview with a company that said remote on the LinkedIn. And then they get to the third round interview like, are you willing to relocate? Like, I thought this was remote. Well, it's remote, but you need to be in this time zone. 95% of remote jobs have a geographical restriction. Stop picking based on the jobs available in the job boards. Start picking based on the companies that are going to allow you to live the ideal lifestyle. Split up your job search activities. Instead of thinking about just going to the job boards, network, personal brand, strategy. Think of these three core components and how you can apply them to conducting your job search. If you don't start with these things, you're going to have a bad time. Unique. Your job search is your fingerprint. How you interact with companies, they will remember. You don't want to look like everybody else. You don't want to look so unique and weird that they're not going to hire you, but you do want to bring some level of unique and difference to the way that you apply. And that will pay in dividends later. Okay, here's a strategy example. I want you to scan this and see who can pull this up. This is an example from a client of mine. You can't see that, and it's intentional so that you scan this and actually go to the post. This is a LinkedIn post from a client of mine who had sent me his paragraph. He's like, I'm going to post this on LinkedIn, and I want to figure out, like, what should I change? And we went back and forth, and I sent him some revisions. I said, add this, add this. Based on what we talked about with strategy, shout out, you don't even need to raise your hand, shout out what you see in this post that's really good, based on strategy.
Smile.
It's what?
Smile.
The smile. A great picture, right? A picture where you're smiling, and look at what else is in that, is he's got headphones, he's got a mic, he looks properly set up to work remote, right? Anybody else?
Emojis.
He's got some emojis. Yeah, that could be good. That could work against you, but I think here, yeah, it works good for him.
It's concise.
It's concise. It's organized. Anybody notice about anything that he's saying?
He's selling himself.
He's selling himself? Who is it targeted to? It's targeted very specifically. He even mentions the companies he wants to work for. He says, if you're at one of these companies, reach out to me. He says exactly what his customer service success role would be. And then he says exactly how he would benefit the organization. This is a great example of that. If you look at it closely, over 300 people liked it, 129 comments, 21 shares. Now, Tyler had done a lot of work before to network and brand himself before this happened. So by doing that, he put himself in a really good position to finally make this post. Doesn't mean that you can't make this post if you haven't done those things, but look at the supercharge of that. 13 people were inside of his DMs within 1 week with offers and opportunities that had nothing to do with the job board. They were unlisted. Companies were talking to him, trying to figure out a role that they could figure out for him. 13. Within 1 month, he was hired as the head of remote at a fully remote distributed company. We talked about strategy. Let's move on to branding. Branding mistakes that I see. Job seekers forget that job seeking is a direct marketing exercise. There are a lot of people who maybe don't have marketing or sales experience, so it doesn't come so natural to them to think of themselves as a product that they have to sell. The gentleman up here said that was really good about the last one was that he was selling himself, right? So a lot of job seekers don't realize that. The second one is that people use their own words. All right, don't lie. Who in here has used the term ninja in their LinkedIn headline or their bio or their resume? Okay, we got one. Thank you for admitting it. People are not hiring ninjas. So what we want to do, and I'll go to this next slide, is not just use our own words. That's a big mistake that I see from a lot of people. Not safe for work content or an unoptimized profile, whether that's LinkedIn, Facebook. Who's ever met somebody and then immediately searched them online to go see what they're like? Yeah. If you're not raising your hand, you're lying. I bet you've probably done it this week, right? Think about it from a company perspective. Absolutely, 100%. If they are any inkling of interest for you, they are going to immediately search you online. And what are they going to find? If they find something that's not appropriate, that's going to be an issue. If they find that your profile is not optimized, that's an issue. But what if they find nothing? That could be just as bad, right? It's like, what is this person hiding? Or why is it that I can't find them? Especially if you have a very unique name, you're going to probably dominate the search engine, right? Jimmy talked about, for entrepreneurs, how important it is to do the Google search test, right? When you're creating courses, right? Same thing with job seekers. It's just as important that you understand what your online footprint looks like. Let's talk about the solutions. One is that you are for sale. No, I'm not saying you should go be a prostitute, but for a job search, you might want to hoe out a little bit. You know, like put something nice on for the companies. So one person got that. We are constantly selling ourselves. I'm selling myself right now to you that these are good ideas. Whether or not they are, up to you, right? You're selling yourself in the way that you dress and present yourself every single day. You're selling yourself online with how you have a profile picture, what you say in your headline. All of these things are sales activities, are marketing activities. And once you start to realize that, it's like, oh, I need to be the product that is the solution for the company that I want to work for. I need to be able to solve their problems. Because that's what companies are looking for. Hiring is merely a problem-solving exercise. We're trying to grow, we're trying to cut expenses, we're trying to make more money. We need someone who can come in and help us do that. If you don't provide value to a company, you're not going to get hired. So figure out what that value is and articulate it based on what the job descriptions say and how the companies talk about themselves. Who's ever read a job description? Who's ever actually taken out the words from that job description and put them in their resume? Who's actually taken 5 to 10 job descriptions for ones that look really good, put them into a word cloud, figured out which ones show up the most, and then put them into your LinkedIn, right? So what we want to do is take this to the next level. The way that we look at ourselves is a reflection of how companies talk about what they need, not about how we want to be a ninja. LinkedIn. We need to optimize our LinkedIn. LinkedIn is your landing page. Who knows what a landing page is? It's a page that is meant to do what? Make people do something, an action, a call to action, right? Sales page, for instance, is buy this thing. You want people to buy you. So think in the terms of what would a company want when they land on my LinkedIn. We're going to go over a little bit about headlines in a moment, and I'm going to be able to help you solve that. The last one here is within the branding sphere. Creative expression for job seekers is the biggest missed opportunity. Podcasting, videos, writing, photography, whatever it is that you're into, give it to the world. All of us are creative. Every single one of you is creative in some way. If you think you're not, you're wrong. You are creative. You just need to find that medium. What if you went onto those job descriptions that we talked about earlier and you found a few bullet points? You said, oh wow, like this is a key requirement of this position. This is a task that I'm going to be required to do. What if I did a video on that? And that just lived on my LinkedIn or on YouTube, or I wrote a blog about it, or I just wrote a post about it. Now companies, when they find you, are immediately seeing your expertise based on what you've shown. You're pre-qualifying yourself for them. And that's what a job search should be. It should be 2 people pre-qualifying, the person at the company and you. It shouldn't be a one-way thing. A lot of job seekers think that they have to constantly prove themselves to organizations, but they should be proving themselves to you as well. And by doing this, you're actually going to bring people towards you, that you can say, oh no, this isn't a good fit. This is LinkedIn headline. This is an example of one of my clients and her LinkedIn headline. And I'm going to give you 3 different things, 3 different components of this headline. That QR code is actually to my LinkedIn headline builder. So if you want to make your own, we're not going to have enough time to go through and create our own right now. But if you want to create your own, you can do that. It's absolutely free. First part here is an exact role title, data analyst. So we figured out through searching all these different roles that data analyst was going to be the best name. And we usually put that first because it has the most searchability. LinkedIn is SEO optimized. You have 220 characters in that headline right underneath your photo to show exactly what you do and why someone should reach out to you. This is one of the most important parts of your job search, is getting your headline on your LinkedIn right. The second part is job description keywords. We went through, we did an analysis of all the different keywords that showed up over the course of 5 to 10 to 20 different job descriptions that looked like a good fit. Business analytics came up the most. So that becomes the second. If you have an industry that you're specific in, you might also put that. The third thing is KPIs and mechanisms. Who knows what KPI stands for? Shout it out. Key performance indicator. The thing is that the outcome of what this mechanism is. The mechanism for her was transforming data through analysis and analytical tools. The KPI for that was either the revenue that she made for the company or the decrease in cost from being able to give that business insight and tactical recommendations to the clients. So this is a good example. There's also a bunch of other examples on that particular PDF, so you can use that if you want, or other ones that are similar. Okay, we've been through strategy, we've been through branding. Is everybody still awake? Yeah, let's go! Woo! I'm having fun. I enjoy this shit. This is fucking fun. Okay, networking. Networking mistakes. A lot of people think networking only happens at events. Anybody guilty of that? It's like business cards are going around. Anybody use business cards anymore? Instagrams are going around. You're walking around, you're talking to people, but networking is not just at events. So we'll debunk that in a moment. A lot of people don't understand how to leverage their current network. The people that are right in front of them that can help them get a job, but they just don't ever even mention to them that they're looking. They don't ever mention to them how they can help them. They don't leverage the resources that are right there, right? They take, and they only focus on what they can get out of interactions. Huge mistake. If you're going through life keeping score, you're gonna have a bad time. Last one here is having a closed mindset, not wanting to get outside of your current network. I imagine that if you're here in one of these seats, this does not apply to you because you're obviously here in Bansko, having a great time, meeting a lot of new people. But we still want to be very targeted within how we do that. So what are the solutions? Well, one is that realizing that networking is the key to everything that you want in life. Want a significant other? Network better. You want a new job? Network better. You want more clients? Network better. Everything you ever need in your life can be solved by human interaction and getting better at networking with people. And so when you finally realize that you're in the airport bar and the person sitting next to you can have a conversation with. When you're in line at the coffee shop and the person next to you, you might want to have a conversation with. You're petting a dog on the street and you look up at the owner, you can say something to them and not only talk to the dog, like I do.
And you look like the other way.
Or, yeah, network with the dog. Find out where all the other dogs are, go hang out with them only. There's a dog place here, you can get your fix. It's not to say that every single one of those instances you have to go network, but just understanding that that is an opportunity for you is life-changing. Because you can have one of those offhanded conversations that end up in an opportunity for you and an opportunity for them in a budding relationship. Or maybe you can introduce them to somebody for more business. Or they know your next ex-wife. Whatever it is. These are not landings. Well, okay. Your next ex-wife? Okay. Weak ties. Who knows what a weak tie is? A weak tie is that second, that third, that fourth layer. Did you all know that we're 7 connections away from Kevin Bacon? Does anybody not know who Kevin Bacon is? You're only 7 connections away from him, even though you don't know him. I feel like you're lying, Mark. Kevin Bacon is a very famous American actor. And it just goes to show that if we're all 7 connections away from him, how close can we be to everything else that we want in life? It's right outside your current network. And that's why leveraging the people that you already know to get 1 layer outside or 2 layers outside can be the difference in your job search. Imagine if you have a friend who has a friend who works at the company you want to work at. And instead of just applying online, you said, I'm going to take the time to develop this relationship, reach back out and say, can you introduce me to this person? And now you have a warm introduction for an informational interview. And now that person says, oh, hey, by the way, I actually get incentivized. I get a referral bonus, so of course I'm going to put you through the system. This happens for my clients all the time because we strategically look for those relationships that we can use that are already right here. Give. Be someone who is not focused on score of giving and taking in relationships, but be the one who's willing to give more. Be the one who's always ready to provide value. I find that for me, being up here, this is one of my versions of providing value. It's getting up here and sharing this information with you because I think it's really, really important that we change the way that we do job searches because they can really impact our life. The future of work is not about work. It's about the future of life and how life is going to be different for all of us and people that are in underserved populations and people who want to do things that they never thought they could do. Last thing here on solutions, expanding yourself, getting outside of your comfort zone, right? Feeling like, oh, okay, my network is good right now, but I'm not afraid to go and find a person who's in that industry that I want to transition to. I'm not afraid to go find a person who knows how to do this role that I've never done before and try to start a conversation. Because I guarantee you, when you start to get into those conversations, you realize how easy this actually is. It's actually easier than going and doing 300 applications and then feeling like shit when no one responds to you. Okay, if you say, Jordan, actually I hate your hair, this presentation fucking sucked, everything that you said is awful, I still want you to take this one thing away. Dean, I know this is you. I still want you to take this one thing away, which is called the 5x5x5 technique. This is something you do on LinkedIn. If you do this, it will change your life. 20 minutes a day, 5 days a week. The first 5 is 5 thoughtful comments. You find content on LinkedIn that is aligned with you, is relevant to the job that you want to do, is relevant to the company you want to work for, and you leave a thoughtful comment. A thoughtful comment is not great post. I like the formula compliment, perspective, open-ended question. Because you keep the conversation going, you provide your expertise, and you actually give the person credit for a great post. 5 thoughtful comments. Second one, 5 targeted connections. So after you leave a comment on especially a new piece of content, you connect, you add note. Take it to the DMs. Always warming the DMs up. We do this in dating, but we don't do it in job searching, right? So do this, always leave a note and say why it's relevant for them to connect with you. By doing that, you now have a conversation in the DMs, and go find other people at your target company. Recruiters can see how many people at their organization you're connected with, how often that you've engaged with their company content, how long you've been following them on LinkedIn. They can see all those things on their end. Last one is counterintuitive, 5 irrelevant unfollows. I don't know if anybody noticed this, but social media after a certain amount of time becomes an absolute dumpster fire. Anyone? Yeah. If you're seeing Instagram models with big booties all the time, you have created that for yourself, Dean. So it's your job to rework that. And yet, maybe you don't see that as much on LinkedIn, probably shouldn't be. But we want to go in LinkedIn, we want to make the algorithm, the feed work for us. So your feed, when you actually go to it, should actually look like all companies and content of people that are completely relevant to what you want to do, right? Because every time you go into that LinkedIn feed, it should be helping you and supporting you in your job search. And an unfollow doesn't disconnect you from the person. It just stops showing their content, okay? So my goal at the beginning of this was to give you 3 action items to get hired remotely. I spelled remotely wrong in this one too, just to catch you off guard. Oh yeah, by the way, this is a networking ebook that I created about LinkedIn, absolutely free again, something that you can go through to help you not only with this, but other strategies that I have. Did we accomplish this? Let's see, strategy, get very clear on what it is that you want to do, get very clear of your ideal lifestyle, everything, company, type of role, all that, and if you feel so bold, you can create a post and do that. Number 2, branding. We're gonna create our headline. You have the resource to be able to do that. Networking is to do the 5x5x5. If you do that once a day for 20 minutes, it's gonna absolutely change your life. Now, I'm not gonna take any questions because I went up to 30 minutes, but Juliana and I, who is right there, are gonna be out here at 10:02, I believe, at 3 p.m. today to answer questions. Juliana is also a remote career coach. We're great friends, and we will be there to answer questions. If you can't make it at 3 p.m. today, come find me. I'll make myself available to you. Thank you so much. I hope you have learned a lot.